Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel. We're the Movie Couple. I'm Wendy.
I'm Dustin.
And here is our review for Unhinged. Unhinged is directed by Derrick Borte and stars Russel Crowe, Caren Pistorius, and Gabriel Bateman. It follows the story of a man who becomes enraged after a confrontation with a woman at an intersection, who seeks her out to unleash his frustration. Unhinged. We saw the trailer. It stars Russel Crowe, Academy Award winner, and I remember kind of our initial reaction right after seeing this trailer.
Yes.
The trailer gave us, I don't know actually about you, but it gave me a lot of anxiety. We saw examples of somebody just who's having just a terrible day. Maybe it's there's several days building up to it. Maybe it's one moment. And then you come to some sort of just, a completely coincidental confrontation in traffic, which everybody knows sitting in traffic, especially in LA, can be super frustrating. And after that event, it just kind of tips you over the edge. And essentially, that's what the trailer was about. And essentially, that is what this movie is about.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely made me feel, watching the trailer, a lot of anxiety. I'm like, oh, I better not, maybe I should just be nice and not lay on my horn after watching that trailer.
And, also, it's one of those things that everyone has had some small kind of experience with. Whether it's with some person on the road who's driving like an idiot, so you honk at them, and they start swearing at you, and then you almost want to get out of the car and you get into fists, or you've seen something like that happen, someone's not paying attention driving, and all of your anger and your frustration from the day builds up to that one point, and you just have that urge to want to run them off the road kind of a thing. Well, what happens when the person who feels all that frustration has no self-control whatsoever and just completely goes into a murderous frenzy?
Right. And for the most part, when people road rage, they go, I feel like they go as far as, giving you the bird, hand out the window, maybe, aggressive honking, some yelling out the window, shaking fists as you drive by. But then the moment passes and you kind of, you're amped up for a little bit and then you let it go. Well, in this movie with Russel Crowe, he definitely did not let it go. Now, this is going to be a spoiler-free review, so we're not going to dive into the spoiler. But if you haven't watched the trailer yet, we urge you to watch it. We're going to link it right here along with our reaction to it. But this movie showcases how us as human beings, how far can we be pushed and how far is too far?
Yeah, and also how each person kind of contributes to this fire that we all just kind of keep on dumping fuel on by someone honking at you, so you kind of swerve, and then they get mad and they try to do this, and then they flip you off, and it's this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy of escalating ways to kind of, I'm the person who's right, so you should pay, so I'm going to make you pay kind of a thing.
Instead of just saying, I'm sorry, and move on with your day. Because the I am sorry, 3 little words, very, very powerful, honestly, can diffuse a moment. Now, this movie really, in my opinion, focuses around 2 people. Russel Crowe's character and Caren's character by the name of Rachel. Now, the trailer, I feel like, made us feel like it was very one-sided. Right.
Yes.
That it was like that was the last straw for him, and now he's gonna go do this. Luckily, the movie gives us a nice intro into both sides of it, so we can kind of get both sides of the story. And I like that, to see that it's not just some unreasonable man being angry at a person who honked at him at an intersection. That she was also struggling with, and just like we are. So this is very much almost too real everyday life. Portrayed in this situation where she was dealing with various things in her life that are extremely stressful. She handled it differently, as in she just was too much on her plate, overwhelmed. She's a little touchy, but she's not violent. Russel Crowe, on the other hand,
did not handle it very well.
Has less of a handle on things, if you will. Now, this movie, in a thriller capacity, has all the classic tropes that I actually like about a thriller. This movie puts you on the edge of your seat. From the second I feel like Russel Crowe's character unleashed his rage, it was on. until the end of until the very end, like when the credits roll. Like you're just like this the whole time watching the movie. I know I was. And it has, you know, your classic cat and mouse chase that you kind of enjoy watching, because you're thinking, how can one outsmart the other, and who is really ahead in the steps of who.
Yeah, and that is something that this movie did do very well. It really did keep that kind of stress lump in your chest on what was going to happen, how far was this person going to take it, where are the certain things going to happen where, well, okay, we know this guy's after this, but he's going over this way, but now they know that. And so it is very much a cat and mouse game. But this movie does very much fall kind of into the slasher thriller kind of genre, and they really do nail Russell Crowe's character as this monster of a man that just is now completely unreasonable, and he's just going to keep on killing until I don't think he would ever be satisfied. I think after all of this,
he's just, like the title says, it's like a perfect title for this movie. Like, I keep going, I don't want to be so like on the nose about describing this movie or Russell Crowe's character and his motivation, but Unhinged is such a great word and a great title for this movie, because that's literally, it comes down to a person being completely unhinged by the various events that led up to this final one that breaks the camel's back.
Well, I think they also played it off to where the back of the camel was already broken.
This is true.
And this was just
the aftermath.
It's like, there were other things that they played off to kind of tell you that, this guy is already broken.
Yes.
So, and honestly, that is something that I wish that they would have done a little bit more with Russell Crowe's character. I mean, they kind of spent a little bit of time showing you showing you proof that he was broken. I think if they would have made maybe his character a little bit more of a sympathetic character, as opposed to just this man that went completely nuts and AWOL for a certain reason, if there was maybe a little bit more understanding to why his character was the way it was.
You're saying you wanted to see more of his maybe events even in more detail, like the events leading up to where he is at the beginning of the film.
Yeah. And I think that would have served the story a little bit more. But then again, it's kind of like, well, delving too much into certain horror movie characters' background. As soon as you know,
need it. Sometimes you don't need it. Sometimes you just want to see like the outcome and the horror stuff, the slashing and the killing. There was, and I won't go into detail about this because I consider this a spoiler, but there was a very nice conversation between Russell Crowe and another character that gave you a little bit more insight into Russell Crowe's character's backstory, just a little bit more. It's a very slight glimpse, but it probably is one of my favorite scenes, because it was a tension building scene. Like just watching these two people having a conversation with each other, and you don't know which way it's gonna go.
Yeah.
You really didn't until they showed it to you. And I really like that. And I think for an actor such as Russell Crowe, I feel like he just had so much fun with this character. He can just really go to the edge with his character, and just like you're literally just having the worst day ever, unleash your rage, go. And kind of like go ahead.
I was going to say, Russell Crowe did do a good job. I mean, he's an Academy Award winning actor, so he knows how to kind of navigate these kind of characters. However, I had a problem with how he was kind of able to be cool, calm, and collective at one point, and then switch to this murderous kind of person, and then kind of switch back, and then switch to the murderous kind of character. But I feel like if it was one or the other, I think it would have suited it a little bit better. But I don't know. I had a little bit of a hard time attaching or being able to connect with Russell Crowe's character.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, connect in the sense that you're not someone in your actual life to go as far as he does in this film. And kind of going back to your point of him kind of swerving back and forth between this like manic, completely unhinged man to someone who seems to be in control, totally makes sense to me. I think somebody who's driving to that edge, that they're and in this movie by this storyline, he really had one focus, and was to deal with Rachel's character, and how, and you saw this in the trailer, so I don't feel like this is a spoiler, how she was like, I'm not apologizing for honking my horn at you. And he, you know, later approached her via, like, pulling up to her in the next lane and saying, well, ma'am, let's just both apologize and be on our way. And he was so focused on, like, no, I'm going to make you hear what I said and what I meant, and you're going to understand where I'm coming from, that I think, to me, it made sense that he kind of went, like, he would, you know, go back and forth and back and forth.
Okay.
That, at least to me, that's how, like, it, you know, I made it work in my head.
No, I can kind of see your point on that. And yeah, you know, the more you kind of look at it, I do kind of make that, you can make that connection.
Yeah.
But you also have to, these are not really my kind of movies either. These kind of slasher horror. But this is where Wendy loves these kind of movies.
This gave me a lot of anxiety the next time I sit behind the wheel of a car. I mean, I already don't really use my horn enough as it is. I mean, like, I honk it maybe, like, what, 2-3 times?
Yeah,
and
I think I use my horn a lot more than you do.
I think it's one of those, like, warning.
Mimi.
Mimi. Warning. But my horn doesn't sound like that. It's like, eh. Because I don't know how to control it, so it's like, meh, eh. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, my horn farted. I don't know. So I enjoyed really, like, the horror, thriller, slasher aspect of this film, because I don't feel like we've really seen something kind of like this. Usually it's, you know, like, Cabin in the Woods type of a situation, or like in Scream or something like that, but this is like all uncapped because somebody honked at somebody at an intersection.
Yeah, and well,
a little too real.
Yeah, well, and also I think there's a lot of points in this movie that does fall in under the convenient storyline of like horror writing, to where they mention a few things at the beginning, and then all of those things that they happen to mention were exactly what kind of played out in the end. And you're kind of like, oh.
Classic horror stuff. You gotta love it.
Things
the
that
formula.
they do, in classic horror movies all the time. They do those throwbacks a lot in horror movies. And for me, that kind of bugs me a little bit. But if you're really into horror, those are tropes that you kind of want to see and like. So whereas Wendy loves them, I'm kind of like, oh, I bet this is what's going to happen.
I ate it up. I was like, yeah. I was like, remember that. That's going to come back later on in the third act. Well, you guys, if you enjoy a good thriller, a suspense, be on the edge of your seat, this is the movie to check out. It is, I feel like I want to address this. It is a little weird because Unhinged is, I believe, the very first film to actually open in theaters since all the theaters closed down due to the pandemic. So it is now like, what a fun way to kind of go back into the theaters and then be on the edge of your seat for it. I feel like I'm trying to not scoot out of frame here, but what a way to go. If there's a theater opened near you and you feel comfortable going, we encourage you to go and see this film using all the precaution. If I were to, like,
since it is coming out in theaters,
we can go back to our rating again.
We can go back to our rating system for the first time in months.
I have to remember our rating system. Hold on, let me pull that up right now.
For me, now you guys do have to understand, these kind of movies are not my kind of thing. So for me personally, if I was going to go watch it, I would say that I would probably much rather just rent it. Because I would much rather see it at home in the comfort of my safe and cozy environment and not have to worry about driving home on the way from the theater with all of this stress and tension. But if you like horror movies and these kind of slasher films, I would really see a lot of people like Wendy enjoying it.
Yeah. I would actually give this a check it out. I would just because I enjoy a good, like, kind of like a traditionally set up where it's like that traditional slasher film. Yeah. Like this is it for me. So if you're looking for something, just having a good time in the theater, order a big bucket of popcorn and then not eat it because you're too nervous and too on the edge of your seat, because that's totally me. If there's a theater open near you, you feel safe going to a theater, you use all the precaution to protect yourself and to protect others, go see this movie. If not, then, you know, when it's available on VOD, go ahead and check it out as well. Well, that's our non-spoiler review for Unhinged. Let us know what your favorite slasher film or moment in the comment section below. If you haven't already, make sure you like this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any more videos from us, and we will see you in the next one. Bye!